WOUB
Now at 6:30, U.S. stocks drop again, a second day of stunning reversals.
It's a massive tax increase on American consumers, particularly lower middle income households, and it crushes businesses.
The latest on what is happening on Wall Street and how it can impact the Buckeye states.
Plus, helping people one stitch at a time.
There's a lot of good people here. You won't find people any better anywhere else than here.
The woman who's helping find new ways to revitalize Gloucester.
And in sports, Ohio baseball returns home to face Marshall tomorrow. We have a preview of the game coming up. Newswatch starts right now.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Charlie Ehlenfeld.
And I'm Reese Thompson. We have a number of stories to get to tonight, but we want to start with a look at the weather. Forecaster Rachel Grant is in the Weather Center. Rachel, a freeze warning remains in effect till tomorrow morning. How could this impact areas hit hard by floods?
Yeah, so we had a cold front pass through us overnight tonight, and that's why we were seeing some rather chillier weather for today, but this could cause potential dangerous circumstances for commuters tonight. This is in effect overnight going into tomorrow morning, but that won't be the case going into the rest of the week. But most of us, because of this cold front, are sitting in the lower 40s. Lancaster 42, Zanesville 42, and Athens sitting right now at 46. Most of the rain cleared out overnight, and we're seeing clear skies for today and even going into tonight with that low of 24. And this low is below freezing, so that is why we are under this freeze warning from 10 p.m. tonight to 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. This is covering just a bit of southeastern Ohio and most of West Virginia. So from this flooding, this could cause dangerous circumstances for drivers tonight. So just be careful when you're on the road. But we'll talk more about some warm weather coming our way for the rest of this week. For now, we're going back to the desk.
Thank you, Rachel. Early voting is underway in the Ohio May primary.
And there are several key issues up in our area and across the state. If you want to vote before May 6th, head to your local Board of Elections office. You'll be required to show a form of photo ID when voting in person. Valid IDs include a driver's license, state ID, interim ID issued by the Ohio BMV, a passport, or military ID.
There are several key issues on the May ballot. Here in Athens, voters will choose who will be running in the general election for city council, as well as decide on proposed increase to the city's income tax. In Nelsonville, residents will vote on an amendment to the city's charter, changing their form of government. There is also one state issue up this May. It's called Issue 2, and it is a renewal of the state capital improvements program. The 40-year-old initiative allows the state to issue bonds to pay for public improvements. This year's renewal includes an increase in borrowing authority up to $2.5 billion over 10 years.
WOUB is your election source. For a full breakdown of what is on the May primary ballot, head to our website, woub.org, or download the WOUB app. Governor Mike DeWine says he is in favor of a bill banning students from having their cell phones during the school day. DeWine wrote a similar idea in his budget proposal, which is currently making its way through the State House. He says the bill will expedite the implementation process, giving schools time over the summer to update their policies. DeWine says getting phones out of the classroom is crucial to keeping students from getting distracted.
Just having a phone nearby means students are receiving constant notifications all day long. Those notifications make it nearly impossible for students to focus and to learn.
The bill does make an exception for students using a cell phone for a documented purpose as a part of an individualized education program or for monitoring a health concern. Several school districts in the state have already adopted policies banning cell phones in the classroom, including Alexander local schools. Staying in the classroom, a new state law is reshaping K-12 education in Ohio, and it goes into effect today. Ohio House Bill 8, also known as the Parents' Bill of Rights, parents would be notified of and could pull their students from sexuality content in the classroom setting. School personnel would also have to disclose big changes in a student's physical or mental health, such as going to a counselor. The new law also requires districts to allow students to be excused from school to attend a release time course in religious instruction. The districts have till July 1st to adopt these new policies.
Tech giant Microsoft confirmed it is backing down on plans to build new data centers in Lincoln County. The company did not give a reason for stopping the projects in a statement released yesterday. only saying the decision was made after careful consideration. Microsoft owns more than 700 acres of land in the county. The company says land for 2 of its sites will be used for farming, and it will continue its agreements to pay for road and utility upgrades. The move comes as construction at Intel's chips manufacturing plant in New Albany falls behind. Turning to the economy, the U.S. stock market sees a second straight day of stunning swings.
This as President Trump says he will impose a massive 104% tariff on China just hours from now, after Beijing refused to lift its retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. The S&P 500 lost an early gain of 4.1% and slumped 1.6% with about an hour left in trading. The Dow Jones was down 403 points after giving up an earlier gain of 1,460. The Nasdaq also suffered some losses today.
The massive tariff on Chinese goods is set to go into effect at midnight, and experts say this is a fever pitch in a growing trade war.
What we're seeing here is the global trade conflict equivalent of a slow motion traffic accident. And at midnight +1 EST here in the United States, it's collision time. And of course, the biggest collision, it's more of an explosion.
Lawmakers and trade officials worry these new tariffs and the instability in the economy could hurt people on Main Street. As the stock market continues to fluctuate, budget talks continue back here at home. State officials are monitoring markets closely, saying it could dramatically affect negotiations here in the Buckeye State. The State Office of Budget and Management uses economic forecasts to estimate the amount of revenue the state will bring in over the next 2 years to make budgets. OBM cautioned that the possible downsides the tariffs is that it could push prices higher, reigniting inflation and pushing consumer spending lower than predicted. Governor DeWine says his office is watching closely to see where the market shifts and if cuts need to be made.
President Trump's sweeping tariff plans have sent shockwaves through global markets, but the next big impact could be on consumers' bottom lines. Karen Kafa is in Washington with a look at where tariffs could pinch consumers while it's first.
Some experts say the first place where consumers could feel President Trump's sweeping tariffs could be the grocery store.
Have a look at where each of the grocery items you're buying came from. Where did the avocados come from? Where did the vegetables come from? Where did your pasta come from? And a lot of it came from abroad.
Especially the produce aisle, because fresh fruits and vegetables have high turnover, and many household favorites require some supply from abroad, like bananas from Costa Rica and Guatemala, and grapes from Chile. Also with a short shelf life, seafood. About 80% of seafood in the U.S. comes from countries like Canada, Chile, India, Indonesia, and Vietnam, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Further out, look to coffee prices perking up. The National Coffee Association says more than 99% of U.S. coffee is imported. At big box retailers, the Consumer Technology Association estimates current retail inventories of items like laptops and tablets will last about 3 to 4 months. It predicts higher prices could arrive by late summer in time for back-to-school season. The Toy Association says it's a similar timeline for toys, which they say the U.S. imported by the billions from China and Vietnam last year. That underscores why economists are concerned about how broad tariffs could crimp consumer spending, businesses, and the U.S. economy.
It's a massive tax increase on American consumers, particularly lower middle income households, and it crushes businesses that sell to those consumers, but also buy a lot of imported product to produce whatever they're producing.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Ohio food banks look for new sources after a federal program which helped them source food from local farmers is cut. The program run by the U.S. Department of Agriculture were supposed to be funded through 2027, but will now end in June. The Ohio Association of Food Banks says that this will have a major impact at food banks across the state. Officials say they will lose connections with over 170 farmers, growers, and food producers through this cut. Food banks across the state are now looking at other ways to boost sales when the funding ends on June 30th. Time is running out if you haven't filed your taxes yet. The deadline to file with the IRS is next Tuesday, but experts say there are ways to save during the time crunch. They say now is a good time to begin so you don't face penalties for not filing on time. The penalty to file late is 5% per month on the unpaid balance. If you need more time, though, you can ask for an extension, but experts warn there may be fees.
There is a penalty for underpayments if you have an over an amount of $1,000 or more. It's called an underpayment penalty.
If you owe more taxes than you can afford, you can apply for a payment plan through the IRS's website, but the IRS recommends you pay as much as possible before doing that. Several organizations around Southeast Ohio are finding new ways to revitalize their communities.
Newswatch reporter Jack Green has more on one shop in Gloucester gaining recognition for their handmade products.
Well, it was a booming town. There wasn't a building in town that wasn't occupied all the time.
Leah Whitmore has lived in Gloucester all her life, and even though she's retired, she still tries to find a way to make a change in her community.
Well, they've always tried to help the community in any way that we can.
One of those ways is through the Gloucester Project. The organization first started back in 1985 as a group of women quilting on someone's porch as a form of recycling.
You know, it's always been thriving. They always do things to help the community. They give a scholarship every year to the Trimble students and just raise funds for different programs around. And just, you know, they're busy all the time. And we're always working towards something.
On a day-to-day basis, Whitmore and the other individuals create different kinds of quilts, rugs, and other handmade crafts. The money they make from their sales go back to the community.
Or like right now we're planning on helping to replace the cross in town, which that's been an icon of the town forever, longer than I've been around.
From sponsoring local sports teams to hosting dinners to raise money, Whitmore says the purpose is making a difference.
Unless you've lived around here and you come through, you probably can't see a difference, but there is a big difference. And this place really has made a big difference. And there's several organizations in town that have done good. There's a lot to do here, and they're working on a lot of things. There's a lot of good people here. You won't find people any better anywhere else than here. And if you need something, they're there.
Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Jack Green in Gloucester.
And then as I stepped out, I almost fell because the water was dragging me.
Coming up, the storm threat may be over for most of the country, but the danger of high water remains. The latest on the deadly floods across the South and Midwest.
And we saw some sunshine today, but that won't be lasting for long. Stay tuned to see when the rain returns when Newswatch returns.
This is the most powerful weapon system known at this time.
This is the first combat submarine. Cutting-edge technology. The science that helps shape history.
I've never experienced or seen anything like this.
Doing experiments, shooting these weapons, helps give us a better understanding of the soldiers who fought in the American Revolution.
Revolutionary War Weapons on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
Understanding the past gives a sense of the future. This is the first time that anyone has seen this in 2,000 years.
This is amazing.
Well, I'm excited now.
Pompeii is a battle against time.
You think I'm joking, but look at this. It did really happen.
Don't let anybody tell you who you are.
History teaches us to honor the past.
When you look back, you're like, wow, that was pretty special.
This is something that's actually altering the course of history.
You're charged with keeping these stories alive.
The threat of severe storms and destructive tornadoes in our area and across the country is over, but the danger remains as flooding submerges cars, roadways, and even homes.
Over a foot of rain fell last week from Wednesday through Sunday across the Mid-South. Some locations, including Memphis, recorded nearly an entire spring's worth of rain in a few days. Brian Abel picks up the story from here.
That road is completely underwater.
From road closures across Arkansas to homes only visible by rooftops peeking out of floodwaters in Prospect, Kentucky, the deadly danger continues following last week's severe storms. At least 24 people have died across 7 central and southern states, including 10 lives lost in Tennessee.
We're starting to move teams, especially to the west. Even into next week, we're looking at some flooding and significant flooding.
Not welcome news for communities where rivers have reached major flood stage.
The water was up to my thigh, ice cold. And then as I stepped out, I almost fell because the water was dragging me.
People in several counties across the Bluegrass State had to ration their water for several hours on Monday after multiple water utility plants shut down their electrical equipment used to pump water from rivers.
An incredible job by the Frankfurt Plant Board in getting everything back up and running to everybody who is conserving, including my family.
Rivers are still exceeding barriers. Water seeping through as a tractor struggles to hold up a floodgate in Frankfurt. Tuesday, rescues continued in several water-ravaged places, including eastern Mississippi. Officials are urging people to steer clear of any flooded roads.
Please do not drive through either standing or running water. Turn around. Don't drown.
Brian Abel reporting.
Forecaster Rachel Grant joins us again from the Weather Center.
Rachel, the storm threat may be over, but now cold air is moving in.
That's right, Reese and Charlie. We saw a cold front pass through us in the last couple of hours or so. So that's why we are feeling the chill today. But along with the chill, most of the rain has already passed through us, giving us a pretty good day overall for weather. Even though it still might be on the chillier side with that high of 44 for today, we didn't see any clouds. It was a pretty sunny day, and we'll surely see the same thing going into tonight. We've seen that low of 24 with clear skies. And since this low is below freezing, this is giving the National Weather Service has issued a freeze warning, for a good portion of southeastern Ohio and most of West Virginia. And this is just saying because of all the rain we've seen in the last couple of days and because plants are now just beginning to bloom or have been blooming, this could cause dangerous circumstances, especially for commuters tonight and for plants, again, that are just recently blooming. So if you have any outdoor plants, tonight's a good night to bring them in if you can, or protect them in other means, as well as just staying safe on the road. But for tomorrow, we won't need to worry about the cold. We're seeing a warm front passing through us early in the morning, seeing a high of 55 with partly sunny skies. And as we're looking into tomorrow, we're going to see this high pressure that was dominating today that gave us this sunshine move out to sea. But if we're going to look toward the west a little bit, and we're going to see this rain starting to develop. But going into tomorrow night, that's where we're going to see the rain start to creep back up again. Might see some showers coming through tomorrow night, but that will fully take place going into Thursday. See mostly a washout for Thursday, and that'll continue going into the weekend. But that won't be lasting past Friday. We see most of us sitting pretty in the 50s going into tomorrow. Clouds making its return, getting us ready or giving us a hint for the rain going into Thursday, having Thursday being our washout day, and Friday will just be some showers lingering around from that. But going into the weekend, rain will disperse. We'll be seeing the sun return again. It'll be feeling nice, and those clouds will start to disperse a little bit more going into Sunday and next week. But we'll finally reach the 70s going into next week with partly sunny skies, but we might see a little bit of showers going into Tuesday.
Looking forward to that small break from the rain. Thank you, Rachel. We have a major recall to tell you about tonight. More than 20,000 pounds of Johnsonville's cheddar-flavored bratwurst is recalled for plastic contamination in 10 states, including Ohio. The American Sausage Company notified the USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service that it received 2 complaints from customers about finding plastic material in the meat. So far, there are no reports of injuries. If you have recently purchased the product and it's still in your fridge, officials say to throw it out or return it.
A big legal win for the White House. The U.S. Supreme Court allows the president to enforce the Alien Enemies Act for now. That means immigration officials can lean on a sweeping wartime authority to rapidly deport alleged gang members. However, the Supreme Court did stress that going forward, those to be deported should be given notice that they are subject to the act and given an opportunity to have the removal reviewed. It comes after ICE sent alleged Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador while legal challenges were still playing out.
They actually, as a practical matter, can get to the courts and not be whisked away in the middle of the night like was originally done in this case.
Attorneys representing migrants are concerned over what they say has been the government's rush to move people. They claim this leaves those targeted with little to no time to file legal claims. Litigation over the use of this act continues to play out in the lower courts.
Next in sports, following a walk-off loss to Marshall in March, Ohio baseball hosts the Thundering Herd tomorrow after a tough weekend series. A recap of the first meeting plus a full preview of tomorrow's game is coming up next.
Next time on the Vietnam War.
It's damned easy to get in war, but it's going to be awfully hard to ever extricate yourself.
U.S. ground forces join the fight.
These kids were just as courageous as anybody who fought in World War II.
As the bombing begins in the north.
I remember my knees shaking. Holy smokes, I'm going into war. And then I got hit.
When the Vietnam War continues.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
We're on the precipice of a great discovery.
I love it.
Welcome!
Whoa,
Nelly! Let's set this palace on fire.
I love it.
Welcome to the News Hour.
What does it mean politically?
I love it.
Oh.
Fasten your seatbelt.
I love it.
I love it.
Delighted to hear it. You make a good team.
Did you know that you can donate property to WOUB Public Media? I'm WOUB Community Engagement and Membership Manager Sherry Russo. Donating property is a great way to support WOUB, and you may even claim a significant tax deduction. Properties in any location, condition, and format are eligible for donation to WOUB. Back taxes, mortgage balances, and deferred maintenance do not prohibit your ability to donate. Our program covers all loans, liens, commissions, and closing costs, so long as there is equity in the property. If you have a land, residential, or commercial real estate asset that's unused or costing you money, consider giving back to the station you love by donating it to WOUB. And the process is easy. Go to WOUB.org and click the Support tab to learn about property donations, along with many other ways to support WOUB.
Welcome to sports. I'm Andrew Woods. The Ohio baseball team returns to Bob Wren Stadium tomorrow to take on the Marshall Thundering Herd. The last time these two teams faced each other, it was an extra innings thriller. It took 12 innings to decide it, but Marshall would break through and win on an A.J. Havrillo walk-off grand slam. Ohio led 7-3 in the 8th inning, but the Herd would come back. In the 9th, Ethan Murdoch hit a home run and forced extra innings to win the game. However, a key piece was missing the last time Marshall played because Matt Einich was not in the lineup for Ohio that day. Einich is a key piece for the Ohio Bobcats offense. He is tied for third in the MAC with a .417 batting average and is tied for second in the conference in total hits. Another key piece that will have to set up for the Bobcats is Ben Slanker. Slanker leads the MAC and is tied for 5th nationally in home runs. However, last time against Marshall, he did not get a hit. Both will look to step on it against a Marshall team Ohio has struggled against recently. Taking a look at the numbers, Marshall has dominated this matchup lately. The Thundering Herd have won 8 of their last 10 games against the Bobcats, including the last 3. Over those last 10 games, Marshall has been a nightmare for Ohio's pitching because the Herd have put 10 or more runs up on Ohio in the 4 of the past 10 games. The Ohio basketball team has added another transfer to their roster. Jalen Breath, a redshirt junior from UNC Greensboro, committed to Ohio yesterday. Breath averaged 6.6 points and 7 rebounds per game for the Spartans. Throughout last season, Ohio struggled in rebounding, ranking 10th in the MAC. Adding Breath will help improve the Bobcats' defense and provide an experienced front court option for a team losing multiple key pieces next year. For more coverage of the Ohio Bobcats, you can visit WOUB.org. That's all for sports. Reese, back to you.
Thank you, Andrew. Still ahead, scientists say they have completed the first ever de-extinction project. What that means in the animal coming back after 12,000 years.
In some ways, Portsmouth was one of the last small cities to field a team and get a franchise. What was kind of extraordinary about Portsmouth was it was able to field an incredible team. For a brief moment in the sun, a little sweet spot that almost was sweet enough to get them a national championship. But they put together the team that ultimately did win the championship in 1935 in Detroit.
For more than 70 years, WOUB Public Media has been the place where people in our region turn to learn how stories of the past ignite the imagination of the future. It's where information, entertainment, and education work together to inform, enlighten, and inspire generations. It's the place where the community gathers to hear and see our world in new and innovative ways. WOUB, the public media you trust that's worthy of your support.
Don't we all need a little fun?
What do you suggest?
All will be revealed. Now, if you'll allow me to begin.
Do what you must.
The life we've chosen is about love.
That will require some difficult decisions.
I gave the king what he asked for.
Yes, I wonder, will he ever forgive you for it?
Some close to you do not wish you well.
I have to be a queen with real power.
Sunday on WOUB.
On Masterpiece, Jane Austen was my sister.
He was saddled with me forever.
Perhaps there is a biography to be written. Everything one needs to know is found within the pages of her novels.
Did she ever know love?
There's sure to be letters that will cast up all manner of treasure. Why ever would you think that? Miss Austen on Masterpiece.
Being healthy should be a lifelong goal, but as the weather gets warmer and vacations may be looming, you may have found motivation to shed pounds put on during colder months. Health experts say health should be a long-term goal, but if you suddenly found motivation, set yourself up for success by eating a well-balanced diet. They say it is also important to stay active. 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week is recommended. And while exercising, experts say to switch it up, do cardio some days and strength and resistance trainings other days, but don't go too hard too fast.
The biggest key is to not try to go from 0 to 60 right away. We often see a lot of soft tissue injuries the beginning part of the year because people start the year off with a New Year's resolution and they go from not being active at all and being rather sedentary to trying to run 5 miles per day.
To help stay motivated, doctors recommend to build exercise into your schedule. Getting good quality sleep is also key in allowing your body to recharge. In ancient animals, DNA has helped it return from extinction.
Check this out. These 3 young dire wolves were born in October and are being raised at a nature preserve. According to Colossal Biosciences, the pups carry the traits of a long-lost giant dog. Scientists took DNA from a 13,000-year-old tooth and a 72,000-year-old skull to create healthy direwolf puppies. The animal had previously been extinct for more than 12,000 years.
That is crazy. So what does this mean for possibly extinct animals like elephants, pandas? Are they coming
I don't know.
back?
I think it just means the direwolves got back before, George R.R. Martin finally finished Game of Thrones, which, I mean, hey, that's hard to believe. Come on, George. You got to get on this.
Well, I sure hope dinosaurs don't come back anytime soon. Otherwise, we'll have a Jurassic Park on our hands.
Well, Rachel, if we go outside and potentially see Jurassic Park, what will the weather look like?
It'll be relatively nice tomorrow, but we'll be seeing some showers later on this week.
That does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching.
Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. Have a great night.